There are lots of things you can spend your tax refund on, but one thing you don't have to spend it on? A new smartphone. Switch to Metro PCS now and get not one, but 2 free 4G LTE smartphones for brands like Samsung and LG. Plus, you're on T-Mobile's blazing fast nationwide 4G LTE network. Hurry! Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free smartphones after instant rebate. One heck of a deal, only at Metro PCS. Limited time offer. Sales tax not included in phone price. Coverage and services not available everywhere. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Live from Fort Bragg's backyard, this is the show that put the 110 Nation on the map. There is only one nation, the 110 Nation, and you're listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show, covering each and every sport across the board. There is no sport too large or too little. It's time to talk the talk. Here we go. Here's the man, the founder, and your host, Mr. CJ Sports.
I want to welcome everybody to the 110 Nation Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. CJ Sports. You can follow me at CJ Sports 1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Check us out on Facebook, my personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports, the 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Also, check us out at www.the110nation.com and check our blog site out, www.the110nationsports.com. For all the latest going on here at the 110 Nation. Oh! Crazy day. Let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers up by 15 points over Detroit. I'm glad to see them doing some damage tonight. Glad to see that they decided to show up tonight and play some basketball. All the talks going on with the Cleveland Cavaliers. They definitely need to have a good game tonight. Say what, Carolina fans and NHL fans, for that matter, make sure you guys tune in next Tuesday night. We got Carolina Hurricanes, Zach Wojcik joining us Tuesday night, 10:30. Looking forward to having one of the Carolina Hurricanes join the show. Very excited about that. One of the things we've been trying to focus on, we get a crap ton of drivers on the show. Been focusing on trying to, like I said, we've had a crap ton of drivers come on the show, and we got a couple, 3 shows. Once the NASCAR season back up, we'll have at least 3, possibly 4 shows on the network that's dedicated to racing. So getting race car drivers on the show has been great. Having race shows has been great. But here at the 110 Nation, we're an all-sports show, and one of our things has been trying to get athletes from other sports on the show. And we've had some women football players. We've had some Corey Rich, the Harlem Globetrotter guy, that goes and he's just phenomenal. He's all over the place. Performing halftime shows all over the place. We've had others on, but we've never had anybody else from the Big Five, including NASCAR into the bigs, and so getting the opportunity to have an athlete from one of the other Big Five outside of racing is a really cool deal for us, and got to make sure that I thank Wojcik for joining us. I'm very excited about it, and looking forward to Tuesday night, 10:30. So I just want to make sure I thank him. And if you are an NHL fan and even more specific, a Carolina Hurricane fan, make sure you guys tune in 10:30 on Tuesday night. Show kicks off at 9 o'clock, so why don't you go ahead and get your seat early so you get your room and you don't experience a sellout show. Don't forget, Monday through Friday, we got the 110 Nation Morning Show, 9 a.m. Also, we got the 110 Nation Sports Show, 9 p.m. every Monday through Friday. We got Happy Hour Garage Sunday nights at 7 p.m. We got a really good one. They had Johnny Davis join the show. I'm looking forward to hearing that through its entirety here on Sunday night. And then we're going to follow that with the Dirt Talk Hour on Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They have Brian Shirley joining the show. Looking forward to hearing that. And we got Racing with Big Sweat making its return to the 110 Nation. We're working out the details on that. That might end up being a Wednesday show instead of a Thursday show now. So not quite sure on that. And we'll keep you guys updated if there's a change or a move on that. But right now, that's kind of what had my attention a little bit at the beginning. We have the host of that show. Who's been having a lot of medical issues as of late. Contacted me as we're working on getting everything together and getting the 110, getting Racing with Big Sweat back on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network. So looking forward to that. Don't forget you can catch us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Blog Talk Radio, obviously. And don't forget you can catch the 110 Nation Sports Show every Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon over at the I-95 Sports Network. You can also catch the Dirt Talk Hour over on I-95 on Mondays as well. So make sure you guys check that out. Pretty much we have a show on their network Monday through Saturday. And with Rubbin Was Racing coming back onto the the 110 Sports Radio Network, we might have that play over on their network too. They're looking to fill up some more racing shows as well. So looking forward to that, and looking forward to the NASCAR season. We're about 20 days or so away. 3 weeks? February 21st, if I'm not mistaken. So we're right around the corner. 7/14/21. Yeah, we got four Sundays to go. Is that what we're looking at? Crazy already. That time of year. Very, very excited to have the NASCAR season back around. I already told the boss lady, tell you what, 21st, I need to be up by about noon. Have the opportunity to make sure I get home in time to watch the Daytona 500. So it'd be really cool if I was able to find a way to be down there in the great state of Florida, the Sunshine State. I know it's not happening nowhere. Am I expecting it to happen? But I tell you what, it would be great to be able to check that out and be down there again for another Daytona 500. Had one 500 and two 400s. So it's been fun. I enjoy it. I tell you what, as we creep up on the racing season, I can't express what it's like for those that have not had an opportunity ever to go to a race. You have no idea what you're truly missing. You know, I got to go to my first race back in '95. Atlanta was the final race of the season for NASCAR back then. It was when Gordon won his first championship. Ironically enough, I'm there for his first championship and then there for his last race. Yeah, it would have been even more ironic. I'd have been there for his first race in the Sprint Cup Series and his last race. But I was there for his first championship, and being 17 years old at the time, it was kind of a different thing to me. You know, my father had been part of a pit crew back in the mid-late 70s. I mean, he did 4 races, and he'd also crewed his good friend's car, a late model, at Shady Bull in Kilcare in Ohio, asphalt tracks. And so they've been around the racing scene. And don't get me wrong, we went, you know, growing up when we was younger, we got to go to the local tracks. Once we got older, we didn't go over there as much. And then you had school stuff, and you had work and everything else. And you know, his friend no longer ran out there at the local tracks. So it was one of those things that, you know, as we got older and older, it kind of faded away. And so going down there the first time, didn't know really what to expect. And it's kind of one of those things that, being 17, you're kind of in a tough pickle anyway. You're not an adult, so you got to kind of have supervision out there. You're not old enough to drink, so you're kind of limited. And it's, you know, I'm not saying you got to drink to have a good time, but, you know, that's kind of the thing out there. It's sun, racing, and beer. I mean, that's what that's kind of like watching Tool Time that was on earlier. That's kind of the kind of thing. I mean, that makes you want to kind of grunt like Tim the Toolman Taylor. And so I remember it was something to adjust to first. Being that young and never being, you know, I'd never been there and not know what to expect and how to keep up with everything. And also, you got to figure that's back in the mid-'90s, so, you know, there's been a lot of upgrades. You know, the going to Atlanta now looks nothing like the Atlanta that I remember going to, and that tells you a little bit. You know, I got to go to Atlanta 2 years ago and 3 years ago. Didn't go last year, and that's just because I didn't put in time. And as a matter of fact, I got to start putting in because Atlanta is my birthday weekend, the 28th. So if I'm looking to go to Atlanta this year, I got to start, you know, putting in, submitting the application, which I'm getting ready to do. I'll probably do it this weekend. But, you know, it was one of those things. We got a picture floating around at either my father's house or probably my brother's house, one of the two. Of us at Atlanta, me and my brother, we had climbed the flag stand the night before the race, and, you know, we weren't even supposed to be in the track, come to find out. It was kind of one of those things we just kind of found a way in, and we got in, and, you know, it was late night, and here we are, climbed up the flag stand, and got a picture of us, and as soon as the picture was taken, we were like, kicked out right then. You guys need to go. You guys are not supposed to be here. And, you know, my father and his buddy, they went ahead and crashed for the night. So here I am 17 years old. My brother's 15 years old. And, you know, being the cool kids we went ahead and snook some of the beers, if that's what you want to call it. Now, I don't really call Natural Light much of a beer, but that's what they drunk, and so that's what we get our hands on. So we grabbed us a couple, and, you know, being young, I'm not really thinking about it, walking around with them, drinking as we're trying to see what's going on out there. And I guess it wasn't such a cool thing back then to tailgate and everything else, not like it is now, because there wasn't that many people out there for it to be the night before the race. It really wasn't not what I was expecting, or not. Well, I guess now looking back now to the races I've been to now and see how many people were at the track the night before and out there in the parking lot and tailgate and everything else. So it's a little bit different now than what it was back then. But, you know, we watched that race, and, I thought I caught hell at school because we had a big inspection. I was in JROTC, and we were supposed to have we had this big, you know, presentation, and our ROTC, we were honor units. We were the best of the best for years on end, and we ended up still winning it, the honor unit. But I surely did not help the situation. I didn't do what I was supposed to be doing on a month-to-month basis. I was kind of screwed over and didn't appreciate it, and so I just kind of lost all interest in it, even really caring at that point in time. And then not being there for the inspection, which I was one of the people who was supposed to speak and everything else. What are you going to tell us, Evans? You go to a first race, first NASCAR event. There's no way you're going to keep someone my age out of the track. And then in 2001, I got the opportunity to experience Charlotte for the first time. Somehow my father got tickets, and him, I think the lady he was with at the time, and the same brother, I'm just short of 2 years younger than me. As a matter of fact, he had a birthday a couple weeks ago. That's for 11 months and some odd days difference, but I guess actually 10 months and like 20 days difference or something. It was just a little over a month difference in the birthdays. But to that end, that was something different there. There was a crap ton of people. It seemed like it took us forever to walk in. And I don't remember much of that particular race. I still have the ticket stub somewhere, believe it or not, here 15 years later. And I think I even have the program or something floating around as well. But then I went on a hiatus. I didn't go to any tracks for a good hot minute. And I can't remember what came first, but I know that the truck came back to Rockingham. That seemed like that was my next race. And I got the opportunity to take a buddy that always took me to different events, mainly a WWE event. So I got the opportunity to take him to a truck race, him and my son. And I had a blast. Opened his eyes to a whole new experience. And he was beyond blown away what it was really like to be at a NASCAR event. And the sad thing is, it was only the truck series. And I can only imagine what it would have been like if the Cup guys would have been out there. And then followed up, I know that in 2011 we went to the 500 to get the experience of being at one of the most historic tracks ever. But on top of that, watching Trevor Bayne put the Wood Brothers back into victory lane, that for someone that had been watching sport, even though my first race going to wasn't until 95, I can remember back far as like 84 watching the race. I can remember the number 3 Wrangler. I can remember Richard Petty running. I remember Buddy Baker running. I remember Bobby Allison, Davey Allison. I remember all these guys that, I was there down at the, I think it was the Firecracker 400 at the time, but we was down at Daytona when Bill Elliott set the record at 212 point whatever it is. Guy had the shirt for the longest time. So, I've been watching the sport for a very, very long time, but just never had the opportunity and really never really knew what I was missing. So I just, I just sit in the house, watch it, everything else, We had NASCAR parties. We had different kind of pools. So, that was all we, I was satisfied. I didn't know nothing about what I was about to experience. And, Daytona 500, that was probably the funnest race I got to go with. Hanging out with the brothers, first time I'd seen my brother in about 25, 30 years or whatever the case may be. It had been a long time. And probably about 20, 25 years. And be able to sit in the stands, hang out with my son, be able to hang out with my nephew, hang out with brother. We both took a 24 pack, and I tell you what, there was not too many cans left from that 24 pack each. We about both killed total about 48 beers out there. We did our damage on some beer. And then from there, outside of two more Coca-Cola 600s, I had an employee of mine the next year or the year after, I can't remember, win tickets, and they were about $1.25 each, what you won. She ended up selling me both for $1.25. So me and my daughter, I got to take her for her first race. And then the following year, Miss Brandy, myself, and my daughter, we went to the Charlotte race. We got a 4-pack of tickets for a really good price. And did that as well. But I would have to say going to the 500 was probably the funnest, probably enough time I had, but probably the funnest. It's to me, it's hard to judge. And then we do go one at a time as fans. We went last year to the year before, when Eric Amarella won the Coke Zero 400 on the Ray Shorten race. Shorty, myself, my brother, and I want to say my nephew again. We all went. We got to have pit passes and everything else. But it's hard for me to compare the experience of going to the track as a fan and going to the track as media. And the reason I say is you got the one side of it where I get to be the fan. I get to root. I get to flip off whatever driver I don't like. I get a jab at the other fans. I get at my alcohol. I get to be a fan. And as a fan, I've seen some of the craziest stuff. Even going as media, I've seen some of the craziest stuff. I've seen people kick out of the track. Hell, we had a whole row, about 2 rows down. I almost there for a minute. I almost thought we had strippers 2 rows down. It got pretty sleazy down there. The liquor was talking, and needless to say, they snuck in some liquor they weren't supposed to have slid in, and it wasn't very long after the bottles started coming out that somebody reported them. Of course, there was a lot of kids around, so the fact that they not only had snuck in liquor, but the fact that it got to be looked like we was a strip club, and here it is mid-afternoon, and they are totally 3 sheets to the wind and being very provocative. Some parents weren't too thrilled with that. It's hard because you get that side of it, and you get to see that, you get to experience that, and then you get the whole other side of it. You get to be down in the garage area, and not just for certain parts of it, and not even just as just being a fan, but you get to be the media. You kind of get free roam in there. You get to talk to people. Not as a fan you don't get talked to, but it's different because you got a purpose and you got a mission, and you get to hang out at the media center, and you get to hear interviews that other people don't get to hear, and you get to ask questions and get the time of these athletes that other people don't get to hear. Probably the greatest experience for me ever was probably Charlotte 2 years ago, where I was working with one of our partner companies, and they basically got me to be employed with NASCAR for the day. And I got the opportunity to interview David Reagan and R.J. Mitty from Breaking Bad. I got to actually be in my first driver's meeting. There was nothing that I didn't get to be part of that day. It was like the full experience to the max as the media. I mean, it was great being down there in Thunder Valley, down in Bristol. I tell you what, it didn't click in my head, and I tell you what, building up for this Daytona 500, I don't know if I'm going to make it that long. Just thinking about how far it actually is away at this part, at this point still. I can remember the first time I was at Bristol, and it didn't even dawn on me that there was no garage area. It didn't, I started thinking this is small, and these trucks are, the haulers are all parked up right on top of each other. It is a very tight fit down there, but I'm not really thinking about it. I'm kind of just And we get our first incident. And as we do this, the crew starts working on it, and you have this like area where you're kind of like supposed to walk, like you're supposed to stay in between here, because if you go to the right of the line, depending on which way you're working, but if you're walking with the haulers to your right, if you're walking down anything to the right, you're into the hauler area, and the team's area over there. If you walk to the left of the double line, well, not double line, but it's kind of like it's a solid line, but it's like wide enough to have like a golf cart drive down there, basically about the size of a car wide, and that's about it. And that's where everybody's down the pit road is supposed to walk. And like I said, to the left, you're into the pit stalls, and to the right, you're into the team haulers. And when we have our first wreck, and the car parks right where we're supposed to be walking, and the crew's fixing and working on the car, that's when, holy crap, there's nowhere for these people to fix these cars. Like, this, you literally could touch the crew. Now, they kind of frowned upon it and didn't want you doing, but you literally could touch the crew as they're working on the car. I mean, that's how up close and personal it is. And what's crazy is you got other room, even though you got to walk around the car, but try walking down pit road in Daytona, there is like no room at all. It is crazy compact. You're right on the top of each other at Daytona, which makes no sense as big as that track is. But it was kind of like, wow, like, and then to be down in the quote unquote garage area, the infield, like, there's nowhere for the drivers to go, so you're right there with the drivers nonstop throughout the whole weekend. And then not last year, but the year before when I went to Bristol, I caught on to after the driver introduction. I think it was the first race that Smoke had come back, and I caught on that they were all running to the bathroom right after the driver introduction, so they were good to go. Nobody else had caught on to this for the longest time. And so here I am over there by the bathroom doors, the corner, and I was kind of at the corner, so I could catch them coming towards me, and then anybody that I didn't get a picture of, I could catch them coming out of the bathroom. And that's kind of where I posted guard at, was so I could get I would post guard there so I could get pictures and be able to have good pictures for everybody. And so I kind of felt bad because after a while everybody else caught on, and now you have people bugging them all the way as they try to go to the bathroom. You had people in the bathroom trying to bug them, getting out of grass while they were trying to use the bathroom. It got to be really out of hand at that point. But, yeah, that's definitely, I mean, just to think about all the things you get to experience that if you've never been to a NASCAR race, you have no clue what you're missing. Like, no matter where you're sitting, if you're part of the fans and you get out there early and you get to go out to the hospitality tents and you get autographs because the drivers are out there hanging out with their sponsors, and there's a lot of times, I've gotten a handful of autographs while being out there. And then the free stuff that you get while you're out there. Oh, Shorty and I, we bad for that. we'll get to, and we was the same way when I had Miss Brandy with us still. And we would get up early enough, and we'd go out to the hospitality and hang out with the fans and interact with the fans and hit up all the hospitality tents and see what stuff we could get. And we would come back. God, I probably have a couple totes worth of bags and free product that we've gotten from different sponsors and everything else. And of course, Shorty's a big lottery player, so every time that we go, now the lotteries are part of the sponsorship. So I got a Florida lottery hat. I forget what other state we played. They brought the lottery out too, but of course we jumped that line every time. We did pretty good out there too. I don't know if they just happen to have a bunch of winners and in those tickets, nothing significant, just to help promote the lottery, how that works. But both tracks that we went to and played lottery while we was out there. And not only if you bought tickets, you got to play the lottery, but you also got free something or another. The Florida one, you got to, for every $10 or whatever you spent, you got a free spin of the wheel, that's how I got the hat, and I forget what Shorty had won. And I forget what it was. I think she won free tickets. I think she won like $3 scratch-off tickets or something. I forget what she won. But you get that opportunity. You get the opportunity now. My big thing is collecting the programs and the cars. They always have a car with a paint scheme for the race. If it would be Charlotte, it'd be a 2016 this year car with Charlotte on it. And I've only missed 2 tracks outside of the Atlanta the very first time I went, in the Charlotte that time. But all the tracks that I've gone to recently, I've been able to get the car in the program, except for Homestead last year, which was sold out, and 2 Kentuckys ago. I took the time to go hang out with Miss Lee and her husband versus hitting up the souvenir or the program stand. So I didn't get one, so I never made it back on that side of the track the rest of the weekend. And that weekend I had an interview with Bubba Wallace, a phone interview, and I had something else going on. So I had a lot of crazy things going on. But, yeah, I mean, just the experience and the fun. Hell, I mean, half the races I've gone to, I've ended up sleeping in the parking lot or finding a parking lot to sleep in, sadly enough. Having a shoestring budget here at the 110 Nation, you don't necessarily get to always get the luxury of hotels, and we've lucked out and went to Homestead. We got to stay with our brother a night. We got to stay in a couple of hotels, but having 2 incomes because I was with Shorty versus my ex who didn't work. That was all possible. And then when we went to Kentucky, Shorty had got approved of that as well. And we just made the 2-hour drive to my mom's in Ohio and saved that money. It was just cheaper to drive home. And, of course, then, mommy's going to feed us and everything else. So that cut out some expenses. And hopefully this year we'll be able to do it again, kind of the plan. But, and I know Miss Lee is lining up drivers. I've already seen some of the roster that we have scheduled coming up here for the 110 Nation Sports Show, and very, very excited about it. A lot of returning guests. And I tell you what, if there's not any greater testimony to your show when you have guests willing to return to the show, that kind of tells you, what kind of show you run, and it speaks, it speaks a lot about you and your show, and having these drivers come back on, having Dylan Martin on a handful of times, having Sarah Cornett Ching of the ARCA Series on a handful of times, having Mason Mitchell, ARCA Series champion and driver / team owner, come back on a handful of times. We've had Ben Rose on the show, and we've had him interviewed. We've got to do a face-to-face with him. Hell, we even had Kyle Larson lined up, and when I went to Martinsville's media, their media had everything checked up. And I got there on time, but I could not get down to where I was supposed to be in time. It took over 2 hours, and I missed the beginning of the race due to just a lack of having things prepared and having me running all around the world. Trying to get down to the garage area. And it sucks. I've met him a couple times and just not got a chance to do the interview, especially with the Chip Ganassi Sound Garage VIP event. But 3 weeks away. If you've not, I don't know how else other to help promote NASCAR at this point, other than the fact that I've been sitting here talking about 30 minutes of some of the greatest days of my life. It'd be Rockingham. Let's see, I've been to Charlotte. I've been to Bristol, Atlanta, Homestead, to at least one other track this year. I don't know where I want to go next. It's kind of a toss-up. It's one of those things that I'll probably try to apply to do it as media, but there's a good chance that it's probably one of those things that we go as a fan. But I got Darlington is, I think, maybe 2-3 hours from where I'm located. That's one of the toughest decisions, though. There's been a lot of talks of us relocating the 110 Nation up north and moving back. For me, if you moving back home to Ohio, and I think that's one of the tougher. Why it's one of the tougher decisions for me to make is because where I am located right now, I am 8 to 10 hours from Daytona. I think it was only like 13 hours or 12 hours or something to Miami Homestead. 2-3 hours or about 2 hours to Charlotte. I want to say about 6 hours to Bristol, 3 or 4 hours to Barnesville. I think it was about 8 hours or so. I think Kentucky's a pretty long haul. I think it was like 6 hours or something. I know Richmond can't be too far away. Darlington, like I said, 2-3 hour drive. Talladega ain't too far. Atlanta about 10 hours. I am so centrally located, and I completely understand why all these race teams locate themselves at Charlotte, because it really is honestly just a hop, skipping away for so many of these tracks. And that's one of the other things with having this company is made the move be put on delay, other than family and personal stuff that has kept us down here, and it's a move that eventually we're going to make. I'm just hoping at that point we're at a financial point that I'll be able to travel by other means than me driving everywhere anyway, so it won't matter where we're located because I'll just be catching flights here and there versus having to drive anyway. But, right now with the financial situation, I mean, it's just easy to hop in the car or hop in and rent a car and get somewhere in a few hours versus, paying to fly everywhere and this, that, and the other. But, good God, that's also a big decision. But all those tracks and all those experiences that NASCAR has provided, and you can say what you want to say about NASCAR, and you can say what you want to say about the fan base and the constant rule changes and everything else, but honestly, once you're out there, once you're at the track, all of it's in the back of your mind. There's no longer any care of what rule changes that happen. There's no longer any care if you're one of those people that believe that NASCAR is nothing but a bunch of redneck fans. It don't matter if, the buddy I went with me, his favorite thing was left turn. That's all they do is left turn. Once he got out there, all that just went out the window, and it was the greatest thing that he ever got to experience. And, that's be able to sit here and talk about it is one of the big reasons why NASCAR has allowed companies like myself to be at the track, to help promote what they have going on. And I love having that opportunity to promote what's going on and be able to talk about it and help share the well. That was kind of why, we was approached by the company that we was approached with, and I was partners with the company that I was because of, being able to bring, exposure to our fan base and help spread the word about NASCAR. And just the opportunities that you get being a fan of the sports, it's really second to none. Like, I have gone to different sporting events. I have been to Cleveland Browns, a Cleveland Browns game. I've been to a few Cincinnati Bengals game, a few Cincinnati Reds games, Dallas and Washington Bullets at the time, now Wizards game. I've been to a couple, local college games such as the Campbell University Camels. I've had the opportunity to be at different sports And honestly, if you get the opportunity, if this year you get to go to one sporting event, and that's it, I honestly would tell you to go to a NASCAR event. No matter how little you watch the sports or how big you are into something else, I guarantee if you find yourself at a NASCAR sanctioned event, a Sprint Cup Series race, you will change your view of this sport. And here we are, about 24 days or so away from the Super Bowl of NASCAR. They kind of kicked their season off with their Super Bowl. And to know here in a few days we're going to be having speed weeks, and we're going to have qualifying. As a matter of fact, the weekend before, so February the 14th or that weekend of it should be qualifying weekend. Should already have speed weeks going on before then. Thursday obviously is the qualifying race. It's about we're only about 2 weeks from things really picking up, and it's just insanely crazy to know that here we are right around the corner, and another season. Like I said, I gotta get on here online and probably do it right after the show. I didn't even realize we're that close to the season because race 2 follows that in Atlanta, and I almost forgot. Honestly, it's that early in the season. I'm so used to going to the latter part of the year race and never really think about the spring race. As a matter of fact, they got a whole bunch of stuff already. The Cobalt 400 Sprint Cup race, May Showdown Dirt Track. That must be a Charlotte. Yeah, I don't know about that Las Vegas and the Cobalt 400. Well, we're going to try to see what we can make come of that. It's March, though. We've got it's not a lot of time to save up some money, but that time's right around the corner there. World Touring Car, the Atlanta Motor Speedway, probably won't make that one. Got the Coca-Cola 600, and the All-Star race already been posted, and then, of course, the Ford of Honor Quick Trip 500 Atlanta. Definitely will apply for those tracks, but tell you what, the thumbs are twitching, and can't wait for the NASCAR season to begin, especially with all the shows we got going on here at the 110 Nation. I'm very excited about that. NCAA formally charges Mississippi with rules violations. Bad boy. The NCAA has formally charged the University of Mississippi with dozens of rules violations in 3 sports, multiple sources told Yahoo Sports. The school has received a notice of allegations from the NCAA enforcement staff alleging roughly 30 violations in football, women's basketball, and track and field, sources told Yahoo. It is unclear at present what the breakdown is in terms of violations by sport. The NCAA does not comment on current, pending, or potential investigations. Calls to officials at Mississippi were not immediately returned. The SEC spokesman Herb Vincent declined comment to Yahoo Sports. This is the latest step in a long, laborious NCAA investigation, part of which predates football coach Hugh Freeze's arrival at Ole Miss in 2012. Yahoo Sports reported about the investigation in October of 2014. It's a damn shame, a year and a half longer. This is a year and a half long. A year and a half later, and it's still going on. According to standard NCAA protocol, Ole Miss and or other parties charged with violations have 90 days to respond to the allegations, unless there is an agreement on the facts and the case can be resolved by summary disposition. A committee on infractions hearing date will be established. The COI generally meets 6 times a year. It most recently met last week. If there's a hearing, the NCAA enforcement will present its case, and the school can't be present. It can present its side. A committee on infractions report detailing any penalties that are to be assessed generally is issued 6 to 8 weeks after the hearing. Mississippi football recruiting success in recent years under Freeze have taken the SEC conference by storm and rankled some rivals. Multiple SEC coaches and administrators have voiced concerns about Ole Miss to the conference office. Sources said shortly before National Signing Day in 2013, Freeze took to Twitter and challenged anyone who had facts showing the Rebels were breaking rules to email the school's compliance office. Ole Miss current recruiting class is ranked fourth nationally by Rivals.com. National Signing Day is Wednesday. This past football season, Mississippi offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil, one of the highest-rated recruits in the program history, sat out 7 games for accepting impermissible benefits. Tunsil, according to Ole Miss release, was found to have accepted use of 3 separate loaner vehicles over a 6-month period without payment, 4-month interest-free promissory notes on a $3,000 down payment for purchasing a used vehicle, 2 nights of lodging at a local home, an airline ticket purchased by a friend of a teammate, and 1-day use of rental vehicle. In addition, it was determined that Tunsil was not completely forthcoming when initially questioned by the NCAA investigators regarding the loaner vehicle. Tunsil has since declared for the NFL draft and is expected to be a high first-round pick. He said, you know what, deuces, you ain't getting me wrapped up in this. Yeah, I screwed your football program, but I'm going to go make some millions at the pro level. That's what's about to happen right here. My. Gotta love it. Oh, goodness. Gotta love that. I know, you're going to have those people out there, well, they should get this and they should get that. Yeah, save that for someone that wants to hear that stuff. As much as the education that they're getting for free, I do not feel bad for them. But I've also said that I agree they should get paid. I have no problem with them getting paid, but then, therefore, there should no longer be any scholarships. We want to go to a paid program, then they need to pay for everything that they would have to pay for. In other words, my daughter is getting ready to go to a small private college about 3 hours from here, Sewanee University. Omaha. $36,000 a year for a small college. 36. So I can only imagine how much it costs to go to the University of Ohio, or the Ohio State University, or Michigan University, or Alabama University, or LSU, or Duke, or UNC, or we can keep going on and on, obviously. I have no problem. If it is that big of a concern that ball players that go to college should get paid, I have no problem with it. None whatsoever. But like I said, there's no longer any kind of scholarship. They get paid to go. They get paid to go. They have to pay to go there. Me not being the brightest person in the world and not taking the time either to figure out how much it costs to go to Ohio State University or Alabama or LSU, but knowing how much it costs to go to a small private college that is about the size of a football field, about all the bigger that college was, I can only imagine how much it costs to go to those schools, and I can only imagine how much a student would have to make playing the sport to not be stuck with a huge college loan. Yes, I know that there's a decent amount of them that won't have a problem paying it off with their paychecks they'll be getting from the NFL. But what about all those players that aren't good enough to make the NFL, that could have had scholarships and have their college taken care of for them, but because getting paid is so important to everybody, and now they need to pay for their college because you can't give them a free education and pay them to do it. It's got to be one or the other. If not, then what's the free? Like, then that doesn't work. I guarantee to shut up all these crybabies out there that want to see a paycheck for playing a sport at a non-professional level. I guarantee once they get their check and they have to pay for their tuition and their boarding and their food and everything else that they would now have to pay for that they were not going to have to pay for before, I guarantee we'll start whistling a different tune. But hold on, Mr. CJ Sports. Well, what about their cut and, you know, the EA Sports games and the jersey sales? They can have that too. I have no problem with them doing that. None at all. Because I promise you, by the time you break down the NCAA's cut, EA Sports cut, whatever store sells it, cut, Uncle Sam's cut, anybody else that has a hand in its cut, and then divide whatever's left amongst the hundreds of college players that are on that game, I guarantee you're talking about pennies, maybe nickels per game. That's it. Nothing is ever going to add up. And we can do the same thing for jersey sales and anything else that they would be entitled to. I guarantee you that when it's all said and done, there's only pennies on the dollars that they're actually going to get out of that deal. And on top of that, sure, go ahead. If they want to go to have autograph sessions and get paid for it, at that point, there's no issue with that either. That would help prevent a lot of kids doing a lot of things that they ain't allowed to do right now. I still guarantee the difference of what it's going to cost to go to school and then what they're going to make is not going to offset itself, and they're going to be kicking themselves in the butt for crying like a bunch of little high school action, more like elementary kids, about not getting paid instead of appreciating the opportunity that they get to go to a college, a highly respected and very educational college. It's not like your local community college or a hole-in-the-ground college. A very highly respected and acknowledged college such as Ohio State, Alabama, LSU, Stanford, Harvard, so forth and so forth. Instead of appreciating the opportunity and taking an advantage of all the hard work it took for them to get there, and really, instead of sounding like a Democrat and expecting another handout, I mean, I hate to throw politics in there, but it's kind of what you're sounding like. Why not just appreciate what you got? And what kills me is all the idiots that decide that, you know what, I'm not going to forego and get my education. I'm going to bounce after 1 year playing basketball, or I'm going to bounce a couple of years after playing football and leave early, instead of getting my degree, which is like the most idiotic thing you could do. I know that there's a possibility that you could sustain an injury and never get drafted or hurt your draft numbers. But also, if you work hard enough, then your next contract is going to be well worth it anyway. But with the percentage of success rate, especially when you talk about sports like basketball, which you only got like, 12, 13-man rosters, you're very limited on how many. It's not the NFL, we got 32 teams with 53-man rosters, and there is a higher chance. Why would you not complete your degree so you have something to fall back on? I understand a lot of these athletes are nothing but a bunch of big dummies. I understand this, and it's not an insult, but all you got to do is play sports. Like, that is your talent, and I'm not trying to take anything away from it because not everybody's talented enough to play sports. Not everybody's talented enough to even make it to at least the college level. But we also know that, I'd say, good 7 or 8 out of 10 of them, they're not necessarily the most book smart. Unfortunately for me, I wasn't necessarily book smart, nor was I athletically gifted. So I got a double negative. That's why the military, and then, I've done some, athletic stuff, as I talked about earlier this week, playing football, baseball, bowling growing up, bench press competitions a few years back. So I'm not totally too left-footed, but I wasn't gifted enough to, make a profession out of it. And I understand that they're, a lot of times they're not the most intelligent, and that's why you got a lot of these schools that are finding themselves in troubles for making quote unquote dummy classes, just made up classes or classes you can basically sit there and go all day long and get an A in. I mean, they're not going to challenge you or really make you do anything. Spell your name. Oh, you got 100 on this test. I mean, that's kind of what these colleges are, kind of scheming around. And understandably, because some of them don't get much smarter than that. But the whole pay. I think if you went all in and you paid the college athlete, $10 an hour or whatever it is, obviously you can't pay him a crap ton because it's a job. It's not, you're not a professional. Obviously they're worth more than minimum wage. That's why I say like $10, $12 an hour. But I guarantee if you pay them, but you require them to pay because now there's no longer need of scholarships because they're getting paid, so they don't no longer need a free ride to school because now they can pay for school, it's not going to balance itself. So, like I said, it's beyond me why nobody or why somebody would not finish getting a degree just so they have something to fall back on. Between injuries and not being as good as you think you are, and teams just not, feeling you, or shady pass you might have had, or trouble you might have got yourself into, makes it where you don't get drafted or signed or see a second contract or whatever the case may be. You need to have something to fall back on, and a lot of times for some reason, college kids don't sit there and think about that. And they're just thinking about, well, I can go to the NBA or the NFL or whatever right now, and I could potentially get drafted, and I could potentially make all of this money. And the percentage rate's not good enough to even have that make sense. Las Vegas Raiders, I don't know. Sounds more and more like it's going to be a possibility here. City and team want you to believe in it. On Friday afternoon, the Las Vegas Sands Corporation, whose most famous holdings are the Zennian and Plaza Resorts in Las Vegas on the Las Vegas Strip, sent out a tweet with its chairman Sheldon Adelson and Oakland Raiders owner Mark Davis that sent a clear message. Yep, the Raiders and Las Vegas fans want you to know both sides are serious about this whole Las Vegas Raiders idea. That stage photo was the topper to a day of tweets from the Las Vegas fans after news broke on Thursday that the company has proposed a $1 billion stadium not far from the Strip for UNLV football and perhaps an NFL team. The Raiders, left out of the Los Angeles mix for the time being, don't have a permanent home for the future, with Oakland not committing to a new stadium plan, so the Sands PR team was in full throat on Friday. Here's some of what was said on Twitter. Las Vegas fans strongly supports a new stadium in Vegas to attract major sporting and entertainment events as well as home of the UNLV football. The objective is to benefit and grow our tourism economy. Nothing will move that needle like a new world-class stadium. A state-of-the-art stadium in Las Vegas, a state-of-the-art stadium in Vegas would attract numerous major sporting events that would drive tourism. A world-class stadium would benefit and grow the Vegas tourism economy. Notice that Davis isn't hiding from the camera either in that photo that fans sent out. The Raiders in Las Vegas want everyone to hear them telling you this is real. It doesn't take a ton of sense for LVS to be running a bluff. This makes like a legitimate sales pitch, even in a city in which projects are announced and never come to pass all the time. There's no obvious reason why Las Vegas fans would benefit from publicizing this if it wasn't serious. Los Angeles Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. That's weird to even try to say it. Las Vegas Raiders. so easy to say Los Angeles Raiders. I grew up in an era where we had the Los Angeles Rams and the Los Angeles Raiders. And I've been so used to saying the Oakland Raiders for so long. It's just, I don't know, kind of weird to I don't know, try to say Las Vegas Raiders. It's almost like it's almost like a tongue twister or whatever to say Las Vegas Raiders. Is that what we come to? I mean, we come to where owners are not going to take care of what they got to take care of and just move teams to cities that are willing, that need that attention badly enough that they're willing to foot the bill. I talked about this last night. I understand that the city needs to help a little bit because it does affect their economy, obviously. And it provides jobs and taxes and everything else. But also at the same time, I know that these teams expect way too much out of the city, expect too many taxes, and expect, kind of for the community, the taxpayers to be kind of drained dry, and that don't work. At some point you gotta cut that off, and the owner's got to be responsible for maintaining, upkeep, and expansion, all that stuff. They just got to, and man, that's my personal opinion. I just, like I said, I think they expect way too much, and want the city, the taxpayers, and everybody else to pay for way too much out of the bill. But it'd be interesting. Now you got to re-logo, and tell you what, I hate when teams are like, I hate it when my Cleveland Browns relocated. Fortunately for us, we got our team back. Oakland, you lose the Raiders again. I would find it hard to believe that you find somebody to go into Oakland, even with the new stadium. I find it hard because now future team owners, one, I don't know if there ever is going to be another expansion or not, but now future team owners are already going to have in their mind that this city is not going to give us money that we need to run the business how we want. Basically, we don't have a city that's going to basically take care of all the financial stuff, so all the money we make off the economy, we can't go piss away on whatever we want to piss away, the private jets, the 30 cars, the ridiculous, houses and everything else. So I just have a serious issue with how this money is dished out, I guess. Cleveland Cavaliers ended up being victorious tonight. Kevin Love had a great game, having 29 points tonight. I tell you what, as a whole, the team shot much better. I sat there and watched them lose. God, what game was that? It wasn't the Golden State game. It was the Chicago game, which if they would have hit their free throws, they actually could have won that game. They missed more free throws than the point differential was. I know, at least at a certain point anyway. Tonight, much better, 27-29 from the line, 93.1%. That's what I'm talking about. 90% or better. That helps you win games. That's why I say that you need to be a 90% free throw shooter. And I do a curve and say 80 with a handicap, but it's just a prime example. Detroit, You only lost by 8 points. You shot 73%. You missed 7 free throws. That wouldn't have won you the game, but it would have put you in a much better situation being only 1 point down versus being 8 points down if you would have made your free throws. But Cleveland hitting 93.1%, shooting 47% from the field, 39% from beyond the arc. Like I said, Kevin Love, 29 points. LeBron James just 20 points. He is the youngest player to hit the 26,000 milestone. Congratulations to LeBron James. They're definitely a different team. As when we watched David Blatt, Tristan Thompson wasn't part of that starting rotation. It was always Mozgov. And obviously the rotation and what he visualizes is much more effective. And Tristan Thompson's seeing 31 minutes versus Timothy Mozgov's 18 minutes. But Tristan Thompson double-double tonight with 14 rebounds and 11 points. Kyrie Irving with 28 points. Mozgov had 12 points. But a very good game for the Cleveland Cavaliers. As they out-rebound by 8 rebounds. Out-rebounded by 8 rebounds over the Detroit Pistons tonight. Taking their record to a 33-12, helping them continue their ways on in the Eastern Conference of being the top dog. Right now we got 4 games in action. We got Miami and Milwaukee. Miami is up 96-92 with about 5 minutes left in the fourth. Oklahoma and Houston, there's about 8 minutes left there in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is up 98-90. Dallas at home over Brooklyn with about a minute left in the third, 69-55. Getting ready to go to the half with Utah up 56-55 and is now at the half. Utah is up 56-55 over Minnesota. Yeah, you get random. Get really thumbs up. Earlier tonight we had Boston at home over Orlando, 113-94. Like I said, Cleveland went in Detroit, 114-106. New York for Phoenix, 102-84. And then later on tonight we got Portland at Charlotte, and we got the Clippers home against the Lakers. Oh, goodness. Goodness. Tell you what, going into this All-Star break coming up, I tell you what, the NBA is definitely got things going excited. I tell you what, Toronto last night put them 10 wins in a row, and they creeping up on taking over that top spot in the Eastern Conference. I tell you what, very, very impressed with what they're doing in Toronto. Right now, I still got the Cleveland Cavaliers 45 games into this on top on their 3-game win streak right now, winning 7 of their last 10. Point differential 5.6, the best in the East, keeping them holding their opponents to 96.2, second best in the Eastern Conference, just right behind the Miami Heat. And that's the only thing that hurts Miami is they're allowing their opponents to score more than they're actually scoring. They're just not being very productive on the offensive side. But Toronto, 10-game win streak, just really, really impressive. 8-1 in the division. Needs to make a little stronger, staying at home with 17-6, but sitting comfortably in second place in the Eastern Conference. 2.5 games behind the Cleveland Cavaliers. Sitting 4.5 games behind them, the Chicago Bulls, kind of up and down, only 4 of 6 in the last 10. coming off their win, of course, sitting 26-19, not only 7 games behind the Cleveland Cavaliers in their division, but also sitting 7 games behind in third spot in the Eastern Conference. Atlanta, they're up and down as well, sitting 4-6 on a 2-game losing streak as they lost last night. Their record sits at 27-21, just half a game behind Chicago. There's a lot of things that they still need to work on. Obviously not the same Atlanta team that we got to know and thought was going to that was going to go deep into the playoffs. Cleveland. What just happened? Huh. Thought we lost everybody. Boston, a team that barely found themselves in the playoffs last year, and had to be one of the hottest teams in the second half. I think they were the second hottest team behind Cleveland last year to even make the playoffs on a 5-game win streak right now. 7.5 games back of Cleveland for the conference, sitting in that 5th seed, tied with Atlanta. A very hot and young team, a team that everybody was scratching their head a few years ago when Danny Ainge just dumped everybody and started this whole rebuilding process. But now looking back, a lot of those fans, I'm sure wishing they kept their mouth shut, because now you have a very talented young team. They're not championship ready. I think, honestly, Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce, they weren't going to bring you another championship anyway. I think it was a good idea that they went ahead and dumped those guys off onto Brooklyn and just kind of dumped the whole team and restarted fresh. But I tell you what, all those draft picks that they but all those draft picks that they acquired for all that are really starting to pay off dividends. Now you got Isaiah Thomas and the All-Star. You're starting to get All-Star type players on your team. Detroit, even though with the loss tonight, they're sitting in the 6th spot in the Eastern Conference with a 25-22 record, and then of course they're having their ups and downs as well. Like I said, Boston on a 5-game win streak, 8 of the last 10 they have won. Very impressive. They just got to take more of advantage of that home crowd. 14-10 in the home. That is not a very good record. As a matter of fact, that is the worst record in the Eastern Conference of teams that are even in the playoffs. And honestly, one of the worst teams when it comes to the whole Eastern Conference period is there's only 3 teams worse than them in the Eastern Conference at home. That's not good. You need to take advantage of being at home, and that is definitely something that Boston needs to take care of. But Detroit, 6th team, 25-22, coming off a loss, only 4-6 in the last 10. Having a lot of consistency issues, up one game, down another. They got to find a way to be more consistent. Miami as well, 25-21. 8.5 games back in the conference, only a game out of first in their division. But now they're sitting at the 7th seed right now with 8.5 games out. 3 and 7 of the last 10 wins the last 2, but they got to learn how to put some more points on the board. One of the toughest defenses, as a matter of fact, the toughest defense in the whole Eastern Conference, and you're looking about the second best defense, points scored wise anyway. With San Antonio just killing everybody with that 13.9 differential, only allowing 90.6 per game. Miami with a 5-game more points a game with a 95.6, with the best in the Eastern Conference. They got to find a way to put points on the board, and they got to find ways to win on the road. 10-12 on the road is not going to win you a championship. You can't win a championship if you are not able to win on the road. You got to play games on the road. You got to at least in every series, at a minimum, play at least 2 games gone. And if you are unable to win some of those games or steal some on the road, then you are not going to win a championship, especially when you're sitting here as a 7th seed and you're not going to have any kind of home court advantage throughout. Indiana Finals wraps up your 8th spot in the Eastern Conference, 9.5 games out of the top spot. On the road, really tough, 10-15. At home, not so bad, 14-7. 3-7 in the last 10 games, not that great. Obviously, that win last night got them on the 1-game win streak right now. But that's what your Eastern Conference looks like as we're getting ready to go into the All-Star break. Just outside of the top 8, you got Charlotte sitting a couple games back with a 22-24 record. Another half a game back is the New York Knicks, 23-26. They've kind of been all over the place, up and down. Washington at 20-24, Orlando at 20-25, Milwaukee at 20-28, Brooklyn at 12-34. And I tell you what, that Philadelphia team, 3-7 the last 10. Once upon a time, they were 0-26 or whatever. I tell you what, the second stretch here, so 7-14 or so. Not quite a bad second half of the first half, I guess. Then you got the Western Conference. And it's really weird because every year we've always had the Eastern Conference that suffered and struggled to have all 8 teams be above 500. Here we are in the Western Conference. They would have 10, 12 teams above 500, but only, obviously only get 8 in. Here this year we only got 7 teams in the Western Conference that are above 500, and that is barely even 7 teams. Houston has been up and down and above and below that line many times so far this year. Of course, leading the way, Golden State crushing it. 42-4 record, 8-10 in their last 10 games, a 5-game win streak. Second highest point differential with a 12.7. Obviously, San Antonio. And it's crazy because even with the beatdown that Golden State put on San Antonio, even though the last 4 games, Golden State has won by like some 30 points. They still don't own the biggest differential, and it's not even really close, 13.9 to 12.7. That to me is crazy to know that the beatdowns that I've watched Golden State put on, the Golden State's put on the rest of the NBA, and the best teams out there, and yet San Antonio has the best differential out of anybody in the NBA. San Antonio sitting second, 39-7, 3 games back in the conference. Obviously, they own their division. Best record at home, 25-0. Obviously, doing things that need to be done at home. I'm not going to fault them for that 14-7 record on the road. You can't win them all. Winning 39 out of 46. I know it's not the same as the 42 out of 46 that Golden State is, but that's still damn impressive to me. So that's your top 2. Oklahoma City, a team that, like I said, I can't see them winning the championship. I'm sorry, 2 guys can't do it. 2 guys can't be on the court for 48 minutes and give you 100% and have no fatigue. It just will not happen. I'm sorry, Oklahoma is just not deep enough. They are 8 games out of the conference. Obviously, top of their division as well. 21-5 at home. 10-1 in the division. Only team better than them is Golden State in the division with 11-0. 24-4 in the conference. Second best, even better than San Antonio, who's just 22-4. 9-1 in the last 10, just like San Antonio. Better than both of them. Better actually. Golden State with 8-2 in the last 10. 2-game win streak, but it's all for nothing. This will be another year that we watch the Oklahoma City Thunder razzle and dazzle and look impressive for most of the year, and then once it comes to playoff time, they're going to quickly fade. And that's just one of those things. Fourth team, the LA Clippers. I don't think that I think they're deeper than Oklahoma, but you got issues. Now you got Blake Griffin that's out for 4 to 6 weeks with a broken hand for punching the athletic with assistant athletic director or whatever it is. Too much of individualistic stuff going on. Can't hit free throws with DeAndre Jordan. There's just a lot of pieces that are not fitting. And this is kind of like the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think Cleveland's going to win the Eastern Conference, but I would be surprised if they get past Oklahoma. I'm sorry, not Oklahoma, but San Antonio or Golden State, because Golden State and San Antonio, all their pieces fit perfectly. They have the puzzle. They got all 100 pieces put into place in their 100-piece puzzle. Clippers and Cleveland, they're about 25 pieces short of their 100-piece puzzle set there, and unfortunately, that is going to keep both of those teams from being a serious threat. Also, that 15-7 record at home, you're the fourth best team in the conference. You've only lost 16 games. You've almost lost just as many games at home as you had on the road. Things got to change at home. You got to make home your home. It's got to be your territory. 16-11 in your conference, 4-4 in the division. Obviously, you're not matching up well against your division and your conference. That's another thing that is going to prevent you from even having an opportunity to be in the NBA Finals. You can't get past your conference. It don't matter what the Eastern side of the house is doing, because you're not going to make out even out of the Western Conference. And the money you're spending, the high-profile names out there, there's no reason that you're having this much difficulties beating your conference and your division. Memphis 27-20. This team is just crazy to me. I sit here one night and watch them win by 10, 15 points. The next night lose by 30 points. They are all over the place. Even though they've won 8 of the last 10 games and won the last 2, they're only 14-13 in the conference. They're 9-13 on the road, 5-4 in the division. With that 27-20 record and 15.5 games behind in the conference, sitting in the 5th seed, there's a lot at stake. For this team to be together, as many of these core players that are still there and have been there for the last 2, 3, 4 years, and a team that we assume was going to get better and better and better, and instead has not progressed anywhere. And eventually this ride is going to come to an end. Eventually Chris Paul is going to be done. Eventually the money's going to run out, and you're not going to be able to afford to keep getting high-profile names or keeping the high-profile names. They went out on the limb and brought DeAndre Jordan back. I don't know how much that really is going to make a difference, especially when you're missing 20, 30 free throws a game. I mean, it is beyond ridiculous. I know he's up to 42%, but as much as these teams are sending DeAndre Jordan to the house or DeAndre Jordan to the free throw line, you're really hurting yourself by having someone that's only hitting 42% of your shot. Dallas lost last night. Looked like to be bouncing back tonight with that 26-22 record, 17 games out of the conference. On the road, horrible, 13-14 for a team that's top 6. You got to be able to win on the road. Like I said, you're not getting just like in the other. When I talk about the Eastern Conference, you're not going to get home court advantage. Therefore, you have at least 2 games that you're going to play. And honestly, if you win 2 games, your 2 games at home, that means you're going to at least have 4 games at a minimum on the road. So you got to find whatever it is that you got to find to be able to win on the road. 13-14 record is not going to cut it. Memphis 9-13, another team. Clippers 15-9 as well. Houston right below them 10-12. Portland, the 8th and final team, and it's below 500, 9-16. Even Utah just 1 game back, 7-15. And it only gets worse and worse with Sacramento, Denver, and New Orleans. But with the top 8 teams as it is, when you're sitting 6th, 7th, and 8th, you got to be able to win on the road. That's got to be a must. You got to be effective and efficient on the road, because you're going to spend at least 4 games on the road, unless you steal 1, or steal 2 to eliminate. You're at least playing 3, possibly 4. Let's put it that way. Depends on how many games you can steal. But if you're not winning on the road, it don't matter if you're not stealing none. You got to find some way to build the confidence, get the teamwork flowing, because you cannot be that ineffective on the road and expect to be a serious threat when it comes to playoff time, especially sitting on the bottom part of that 6, 7, 8 seed, knowing that you are going to be the road team every time. 4-7 to the division, 17-13 in the conference, 4-6 to the last 10. Dallas kind of up and down with their ways. Like I said, to be expected to bounce back tonight in their game as they are up 77-66 with about 7 minutes left, halfway through the fourth over Brooklyn. So really expect them to be victorious. We weren't expecting it last night with the loss of the Golden State Warriors. Houston, you guys have a lot of problems. You went out of your way to go get Ty Lawson. You thought that was going to be the solution to your problems, and all you do is create more problems. And James Harden is more worried about just falling to the ground for the hell of it and not playing defense than worrying about winning games. And Dwight Howard, the diva he is, that's why you're the 7th seed team, 20 games back, yet lose another one. Only 10-12 on the road, 6-6 in the division, 18-13 in the conference, 6-4 in the last 10. You have a negative 1.4 point differential. You can't win a championship when you're giving more points up on average than you are actually scoring. And obviously that is something Houston has to fix if they're going to be any type of actual serious threat. As a matter of fact, what needs to happen is you need to go ahead and get rid of James Harden and Dwight Howard and actually get real players on your team. That's what really honestly needs to happen. Portland, your 8th and final team. It's just really weird to see a team below 500, like I said, in the Western Conference and make up your top 8. Like I said, we're so used to seeing a good 10 to 12 team in the Western Conference and maybe 6 to 7 teams in the Eastern Conference. The talent shifted. The teams in the Eastern Conference are getting better. Some of the players from the Western Conference have made their way over to Eastern Conference teams. Whatever the case may be, the Eastern Conference has definitely upped the bar a little bit for themselves, and it has made the Western Conference look like they've really slacked off. Portland 21-26 record, 21.5 games back. It is unfair to use that the 21.5 games back as a measuring stick, especially with Golden State and San Antonio having the seasons that they're having this year. 9-16 on the road, AC team. You're going to be spending the whole playoff on the road. You really got to fix that. 7-3 in division, 17-15 in conference, 6-4 in your last 10. At least you're not being overwhelmingly outscored. Less than a point, just over half a point a game on average that you're being outscored. Much better than some of the other teams, Houston, Memphis, so that are in the playoffs. Then just sitting outside that top 8, a game back, you got Utah 20-25, half a game back. Well, actually, they consider Utah tied because they won one left and lost one left. But they are Portland owns the tiebreaker. Then Sacramento sits actually a half game back from them at 20-26. Denver 3 games back with an 18-29 record. 5 games back is or 3 games back as well as New Orleans at 17-28. And of course you got Minnesota, Phoenix, and Lakers who have not even won 10 games yet after 48 games. That's just horrible. You kind of feel bad for Kobe. Never really been a Kobe fan. I have a lot of respect for Kobe Bryant, but I wouldn't say I've ever really been a Kobe fan for any, from any stretch of the imagination. But to watch this team lose as much as they do and watch the Michael Jordan of our generation, as many people are labeling Kobe Bryant, go out the way that he's going to end up going out. I mean, the Lakers are tied with the Philadelphia 76ers on the worst point differential. They lose on average of 10.3 points a game. One of 9 in the last 10 games. 5-17 at home. You can't even. If you was at least winning some more games and winning at home, I would rather have all 4 of my wins or all 9 of my wins being home and not won a single game on the road, and then be 5-17 at home. I mean, to give the fans something to cheer for. I mean, it's got to be tough for a very competitive legend such as Kobe Bryant, and this is how your season, and not only your season, your career, how this is about to go down. This is how it's about to end, and that's really got to be horrible. Some kind of that's just got to be horrible. I couldn't imagine. I mean, could you imagine Michael Jordan go out on one of the worst teams ever and just have the season that Kobe Bryant has had, team-wise, individually, just all around? I couldn't imagine it. Hey, what? Make sure that you tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to One Ten Nation Morning Show. Also check out the One Ten Nation Sports Show Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, we got the Happy Hour Garage. You can check that out Sunday nights at 7 o'clock. We got Johnny Davis that joined the show. Looking forward to be able to catch that in its entirety Sunday night. And, of course, at 9 p.m. we also have the Dirt Talk Hour, and they got a real special guest with that as well. So looking forward to that. Sunday has turned into a very interesting race day, and we're hoping to be able to expand on that and possibly bring you guys some more race talk. We're in talks with a few people out there to bring more shows on the network. Speaking of which, if you guys are interested, you got to show that you're independent and don't belong to a network or a network that don't mind you sharing the shows get rebroadcast on our network. We would love to have the opportunity to rebroadcast your show, syndicate it. Right now we got one show. We're in talks with another show, but we got 35 hours a week to use, and we're using, I think, roughly about 20 hours at this point. And we would really like to utilize all 35 hours before we hit July 1st. And I know we got some time, but we're trying to get that knocked out now so that from that point on, we can move up to the 49 hours that we would jump up to the next plan. And, to ultimately get to where we are on 24 hours a day is what the next plan is after that. But if you're interested of being on the One Ten Nation Sports Radio Network, got a show. Prefer it to be something other than racing. Right now we got three race shows, and we got a fourth making a return here soon. I would like to try to gear to either all sports shows or one of the other major sports or college ball, whatever the case may be. Or if you're interested in writing for our blog site, that's something else that we're starting to get our focus back on. All you got to do is hit me up, MrCJSports@gmail.com. Also, if you're interested in coming on the show, maybe you're an athlete, part of some kind of athletic organization, team, whatever the case may be. Maybe you got a show or a site and you want to come on and promote it and talk sports, or maybe you got some kind of charity or foundation. All you got to do is hit up Miss Lee. That is Lee_110nation@yahoo.com. That is LEE_110nation@yahoo.com. I guess I don't know why I do that every single time, but I like to. You can follow me at CJ Sports 1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Also, you can check us out on Facebook, my personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports. the 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Also check out our company site, www.the110nation.com. Check out our blog site, www.the110nation Sports. For all the latest going on here at the 110 Nation as well. Damn. I was about to say something. I got totally sidetracked. Just that quick. Don't ask me how I managed to get sidetracked that quick, but I did. Oh, I remember what I was going to say now. Don't forget, Tuesday night, NHL fans, make sure you guys tune in. Not only will we have our NHL expert Izzo in the house, but we also will have Carolina Hurricanes Zach Boychuk joining us Tuesday night at 10:30. So you Carolina fans, make sure that you guys tune in. Got a great show planned for you guys. Looking forward to having the opportunity to sit down and listen to Izzo and Zach Boychuk of the Carolina Hurricanes sit down and talk and get his perspective on the first half of the season. What do you expect for the second half of the season for the Carolina Hurricanes? And just thoughts about this new NHL All-Star format. The All-Star will just be coming off and be fresh. We get an opportunity to get him Tuesday night, 10:30, before he makes his way up north on Wednesday and for their game. So very excited about that opportunity. I know Ms. Lee has got some other guests lined up for us. I can't wait to get the schedule so we know who and what we have coming up. But very excited about that. Chiefs Travis Kelce becomes NFL's second highest paid tight end. It has been a big week for Travis Kelce. Obviously, the Bachelor stuff going on. He went to the Pro Bowl in Hawaii. He was announced he'll be the star of a reality dating show. And on Friday, the Kansas City Chiefs dumped a ton of money on him, becoming the second highest paid tight end in NFL history. Likely can't beat the reality dating show thing, but it's not a bad second place. Kelce's deal is for 5 years and worth $46 million with a max value of $50 million, according to the Kansas City Star. There's a $20.2 million guaranteed money involved. He trails only Rob Gronkowski, whose $54 million deal with the New England Patriots eclipsed Kelce's new extension. Jimmy Graham signed a 4-year, $40 million deal in 2014. He was traded to the Seattle Seahawks last year, and that's the most per year for a tight end. Kelce's $9.2 million a year is tied for second among tight ends with Julius Thomas of the Jacksonville Jaguars, according to Spotrac. So either way you want to slice it, Kelce's contract ranks second, tied with Thomas. Kelce has 139 catches for 1,737 yards and 10 touchdowns the last 2 seasons. He doesn't put up the total numbers of some tight ends, but the Chiefs don't rely on his passing game as much as other teams. Kelce is a great weapon for the Chiefs for when the Chiefs do throw, as a fast tight end that is a matchup nightmare for opposing defenses. Now the 26-year-old has a $46 million contract. Obviously, a big deal for the Kansas City Chiefs as they continue to try to improve not only year in and year out, but what they did this year, even without Jamal Charles. Obviously, the passing game has been, one of those concerns as they went for a year plus without throwing a touchdown to a receiver. Obviously, having the receivers that they have and having the targets they have and the pieces they have are obviously key pieces to be as successful as they have been able to be with it all not meshing right, but then without the thrown touchdowns, without Jamal Charles. So obviously this is a good deal for the Kansas City Chiefs to go ahead and lock him up, make sure that they keep him mean, tight ends are hard to come by. I mean, it's been a while since we've really seen, the tight ends that we have seen. I mean, obviously Rob Gronkowski is a freak in nature, and Aaron Hernandez and his murder charges got him bumped out. Julius Thomas, and Jimmy Graham, but there's not a lot of high key profile tight ends out there, and so it's kind of one of those things like the running back. There's not that many out there that are high profile that are productive and proficient, and you get one. Obviously, you got to do what you got to do to keep a hold of it, man. The Kansas City Chiefs did what they had to do to make sure that they locked that up and to keep Eric Kelsey to stay with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I like that move. I think it was a very smart move. Oklahoma ended up locking it up with Houston 116-108. I think that was the other. And Miami ended up finishing up winning 107-103. I think that was the two that was getting ready to end. Dallas and Brooklyn are about a minute left with Dallas up by 12 points at this point. So it looks like Dallas Mavericks are going to end up being victorious tonight. And you guys see that, what was it, Iowa that has the curtain of distraction where they had Michael Phelps come from behind the curtain of distraction, not only once, but twice. The first time he came out shirtless and standing there, and then the second time he comes out, Arizona State University, my bad. The second time he comes out in just his swim trunks. I tell you what. See what the college teams have gotten rather creative. The curtain of distraction and the sideline antidotes that they use. Not only these teams winning, but they're having fun doing it. And Michael Phelps coming from behind the curtain of distraction. I tell you what, that was definitely an interesting thing. And I tell you what, one, it's hard to believe that Michael Phelps has aged as much as he has, but to say that and for him to be in the shape that he still is in, that's crazy. 18-time gold medalist Michael Phelps made an appearance in Arizona State's famed curtain of distraction during the Sun Devils' 86-68 win over Oregon State. With 13:47 to go in the second half, of Oregon State freshman Steven Thompson at the free throw line, Arizona State students parted the curtain behind the basket and revealed the shirtless Phelps with a swim cap on his head and half a dozen gold medals around his neck. Thompson tried to maintain his composure as Phelps pantomimed a freestyle stroke, but the 67.7% foul shooter had his first attempt rimmed out. Phelps was again behind the curtain when it parted the second time, but this time he wore nothing but swim cap and bow tie and a Speedo. Thompson again missed the free throw as a smiling Phelps clapped his hands and encouraged the roaring crowd to get louder. I don't think you could have written it any better with the Oregon State player missing both free throws. Arizona State Associate Athletic Director Bill Kennedy told Yahoo Sports on Thursday night. You could see the look on his face. He couldn't help but look. He was trying to hold himself together, but you could tell by the look in his eyes he was going to miss the first one. Missing the second one was only icing on the cake. I tell you what, like I said, they have definitely, with this whole curtain of destruction, it is really the schools are getting really creative with this, and obviously this has now become just as much of a part of the game as the game itself. And this kind of stuff, I don't necessarily mind it as bad. Because the Hack a Shack is one thing. It being a game within itself and its anecdotes. But this is just the fans showing their support. And this is why, why it's important to win at home and get your crowd involved. Is when I'm talking about the NBA and the breakdowns. I mean, you got to get your fan base into this. And the Arizona State has definitely found a way, and the crowd and the fans have definitely took it in and is definitely Yes, very much so. So I like it. I like what I'm seeing. I like the class participation. Got some great games tomorrow night. A lot of great games last night or tomorrow night. 9th ranked West Virginia going to Florida. 11th ranked Virginia heading to 16th ranked Louisville. 7th ranked Xavier headed out to DePaul. 14th ranked Iowa State to travel to 5th ranked Texas A&M. Minnesota will make its way to 19th ranked Indiana. 15th ranked Miami University will be traveling to NC State. Boston College will face number 2 North Carolina. Nebraska will face number 21 Purdue. Number 1 Oklahoma will take on LSU and the best freshman in all of basketball, Ben Simmons. Georgia will travel to 17th ranked BYU. 20th ranked Kentucky. Let's see if they can bounce back and actually do something against 4th ranked Kansas. Now, I'm not saying I won. I'm not encouraging it. I am probably one of the most anti-Kentucky people out there. But other than I would be happy for the Cincinnati Bengals and the Reds to fall over on the other side of the river and become Kentucky. That would make me happy. I'm willing to give you something, Kentucky. I'm willing to give you 2 professional teams that Ohio does not need. But 20th ranked Kentucky and travels to 4th ranked Kansas. 10th ranked Providence travels to Georgetown. Memphis at 13th ranked SMU. Oregon State will travel to 18th ranked Arizona. Like I said, a lot of great games this weekend. Well, tomorrow and even this weekend. What else we got? 8th ranked Maryland at Ohio State. That should make for a good game. Rutgers at 12th ranked Michigan State. And then 23rd Oregon at Arizona State University. They should have held on to that Michael Phelps thing until they faced Oregon. That probably worked out better for them. But yeah, so we're really great games this weekend. So looking forward to be able to kick back and watch some good games this weekend as we get ourselves edging closer and closer to March Madness. Last night we watched Maryland, 8th ranked Maryland, beat up on Iowa at home for Maryland. Notre Dame traveled to Syracuse, 25th ranked Notre Dame lost to unranked Syracuse, 81-66. 23rd ranked Oregon traveled to 18th ranked Arizona, was victorious 83-75. And Michigan, good God, Michigan State, 12th ranked Michigan State put the feet down on Northwestern 76-41. Or 76-45, a 31-point victory for Michigan State. Northwestern, that's what you're supposed to score 45 and a half, not 45 for the entire game. That's a horrible beatdown, and you should really honestly be ashamed of the performance you put on the court there. Oh my goodness. Oh. Even though they got an agreement, that San Diego, the Chargers and the Rams will share the stadium. Chargers will stay in San Diego in 2016, hoping for a new stadium. Although the Chargers have agreed, at first reported by San Diego Union Tribune, in principle to join the Rams in L.A. and share stadium in Inglewood, it appears their future still could remain in San Diego. Chargers chairman Dean Spanos appears to have agreed to a possible partnership with the Los Angeles Rams as leverage toward working things out with the city of San Diego over a new stadium. In a statement released Friday afternoon, Spanos said that the team will remain in San Diego for the upcoming season and for far longer, he hopes. Dear Charger fans, today I decided our team will stay in San Diego for 2016 season, and I hope for a long term in a new stadium. I have met with Mayor Faulkner and Supervisor Roberts, and I look forward to working closely with them and the business community to resolve our stadium dilemma. We have an option and an agreement with the Los Angeles Rams to go to Inglewood in the next year. But my focus is on San Diego. This has been our home for 55 years, and I want to keep the team here and provide a world-class stadium experience you deserve. Everyone on both sides of the table in San Diego must now determine the best next steps and how to deploy additional resources provided by the NFL. I'm committed to looking at this with a fresh perspective and new sense of possibility, with deep appreciation for your years of support, Dean Spanos, Chairman. NFL Commissioner Goodell praised developments in the statement. It reads, "We're very supportive of the decision by Dean Spanos to continue his efforts in San Diego and work with local leaders to develop a permanent stadium solution. The NFL ownership has committed $300 million to assist the cost of building a new stadium in San Diego. I have pledged the league's full support and helping Dean to fulfill his goal." You're already getting $300 million. The rest of it should be you taking care of it. So I'm not quite sure what you're expecting of the city. Maybe dump another $100 million in it or whatever. But like I said, I don't understand why these owners expect these teams to, or these cities to basically foot the bill for their fun. I mean, I'm sorry, but I just don't get it, and I don't support that. You get $300 million from the NFL. You're already getting at least a third of the building paid for, and that's a high-end building, a high-end stadium. Las Vegas, they're talking about a $1 billion stadium, so if you're already getting $300 million, I mean, it's a third of it's already taken care of. I'm sorry, but I don't expect the city to pick up another third or more of it. I expect you to at least pick up half, if not 2/3 of the stadium. This is your baby. This is your money. This is your profit. So I talk to my face is red on that one. Oh, well. Don't forget, tomorrow morning. No, not tomorrow morning. Tomorrow Saturday. Monday through Friday mornings, 9 a.m., we got the 110 Nation Morning Show. Monday through Friday nights, 9 p.m., we got the 110 Nation Sports Show. We got Happy Hour Garage Sunday night at 7 p.m. We got Dirt Talk Hour, 9 p.m. Sunday night, all Eastern Standard Time. We will let you know on Racing with Big Splash. We might be changing that from a Thursday to a Wednesday show. Looks like that's what Steve is wanting to do. So we probably will be doing that. So we'll keep you guys informed on that. Don't forget, you can check me out on Twitter at CJSports1, the 110 Nation, at 110 Nation. Also on Facebook, you can check me out, Mr. CJ Sports, the 110 Nation. You can check them out at 110 Nation Sports. Also, check us out, www.the110nation.com for all the latest going on in the company, www.the110nationsports.com for the latest going on our blog site. Interested in having your show syndicated or rebroadcast on our network, maybe you want to help co-host the show, or maybe you want to write for us, write for our blog site, all you do is hit me at mrcjsports@gmail.com. Don't forget, you can catch us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Blog Talk Radio, and over on the I-95 Sports Network. So make sure you guys check us out, one of those different venues, but make sure you guys check us out. You guys enjoyed this weekend. Like I said, we only got about 3 more weekends. Daytona 500, March Madness around the corner. We got a Pro Bowl and a Super Bowl. NHL, the second half of their season. NBA All-Star in the second half of their season. We got a lot of things coming up, folks. Make sure that you guys continue to tune in. We talk about everything every night. Got a lot of great guests. We got Zach Boychuk of the Carolina Hurricanes joining us Tuesday night, 10:30. Looking forward to that. Miss Lee has got some other great guests, great athletes lined up for us. Looking forward to having them all on the show. And roster and the schedule, I will let you guys know. Make sure you guys check us out on Facebook. I keep everybody updated over there as much as possible. Till then, you guys have a great weekend.
Thanks for listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show with Mr. CJ Sports. You are a part of the 110 Nation, so be sure to visit the110nation.com for everything related to the show. You can follow CJ on Twitter at 110Nation and on Facebook at 110 Nation Sports. Until next time.
There are lots of things you can spend your tax refund on, but one thing you don't have to spend it on, a new smartphone. Switch to Metro PCS now and get not one, but two free 4G LTE smartphones for brands like Samsung and LG. Plus, you're on T-Mobile's blazing fast nationwide 4G LTE network. Hurry! Switch to Metro PCS and get two free smartphones after instant rebate. One heck of a deal, only at Metro PCS. Limited time offer. Sales tax not included in phone price. Coverage and services not available everywhere. See store for details and terms and conditions.